Welcome to the Greatness Together podcast. Curious minds unite. Mother-daughter conversations that delve into the heart of psychology. Thanks for joining us. So Simonne, you left me. You left me again, and you went farther away this time. Where are you right now, Simonne?
Australia.
Australia. Listeners, Simonne and I are so committed to bringing you this podcast that Simonne is coming to you from a park in beautiful Byron Bay, Australia, and I'm still in the barn. Haven't left.
House of Chris Hemsworth. I know, I'm not in his house. I'm in his town because he has a house in Byron.
Would you
I
like to
haven't
give him
seen
a
him
shout
yet.
out that he could invite you over when he listens to this podcast?
Yes, yes, please. Probably has some like chef too, and that would be quite a relief from my $3 hostel dinners. Um, but actually, I was talking to this local yesterday, and he said, I was like, "Have you like seen Chris Hemsworth around?" And he's like, "Yeah, he always takes his kids surfing at Broken Head or whatever." And I'm like,
Oh.
"So where is this head of Broken?"
I think I
No,
know where you're going to go
totally gone.
tomorrow. You just want to find a chef, though. You don't even probably care about him. You just need somebody else to pay for the food and cook it,
Yeah,
because
100%.
that's one of the things I think that in every conversation we have when you're away, you tell me about the cost of tomatoes. There's some people exchange goods based on like pesos, dollars. You gauge how much things cost per city based on tomatoes. That's what I've
I
noticed.
don't even like tomatoes, but I have grown to like them because they are a prominent factor of my reoccurring dinner, which includes, okay, hear me out. We start with the caramelized onion. So onion, one ingredient. Two, chop the tomatoes up in there, caramelize them up too. Three, if I'm feeling fancy, zucchini.
Ooh.
Four, spinach. Top it all off, some tomato sauce, and then the pasta, and then like simmer it a bit so like the sauce thickens. And then you got the salt and pepper, and then there you go. Boom. My dinner I've had for the past 4 months or
Simonne,
3 months or two
this is
months.
a new culinary treat. I don't believe you ever did this before. I am looking
I
forward to you
know.
coming back from Australia for one, and when you do, making me that dinner. Both of those,
I've perfected it.
I
At
can
the
tell.
start, at the start, I was kind of like burning the onions a bit. I wasn't cooking the tomatoes enough. Now, ripe throughout, caramelized throughout. Oh my God, that dog jumped very far. No distractions. Um, girl,
Listeners, if you're just
uh,
listening and you're not watching this, Simonne is in a park in order to do this. And there's many interesting things that she's observing, and it's very hard to stay focused. Yeah.
I'm also watching a police ticket a car.
Okay, we don't need to know the entire list of all the things, but we do have
I
now a grocery list
guess.
of and the recipe for cooking is scrumptious pasta. We know that there's a
Yeah,
three-legged dog and that there's police in your park.
I've
Let's
been wanting
now,
to tell you that for the past like 5 minutes. I've been holding it back
and now
because
we
we
all
said no
know.
distractions.
And
Yeah,
now
I
we
had
all
to
know.
let it out.
You let it
Yeah,
out.
had to get off my chest.
So
I saw
now,
that police.
Simonne, we get into the thick of it. The
Oh,
heart
yes, I
of the
forgot we
matter,
were picking
the
it up.
root of the story. When did you go to on your first? Tell the listeners, how on earth did you find yourself
Well,
eating me, of all people, How could you possibly? That's what everyone wants to know. How were you ever able to leave that woman? Can't even imagine it happening. Yet you did at 16. Where'd you go? Why'd you do it? What the heck?
Well, picture this. Simone in English class in grade mm,
10?
11?
11. 11.
11. 11.
11.
And you texted me. Oh no. So a couple months before that, I was like, I kind of want to go on an exchange somewhere. And then we looked into it and it was way too late. Um, and then random morning, I think it was like May 11th or something, you texted me and were like, hey, there's an opportunity in Argentina and Uruguay. And I'm like, what is that? Where is that? Who is that? What language do they speak?
Yeah.
Are you making this up? Never heard of those places. Okay, I've heard of Argentina, but I never heard of Uruguay.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm not even sure how you like knew of this. How did you?
Well, it was because you were so sick of high school. It was grade 11. You had just gone back from COVID. And you were like, I'm so done with this. And I remember what that feeling was like because I, like you, was way more mature than my years. And I was so done with high school too. And you said, Mom, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do grade 12. Like, seriously. And so what I did was I said, Oh, well, Auntie Darcy did grade 12. She did a whole year exchange in Japan. Let me look into that for you. And I have a friend who is a fellow speaker friend with Rotary International. So I send him a
Mm.
message through Facebook. And see, the Facebook, it does have its purposes, Simone. Yeah. Anyway, so I
All
sent
the
him a
cool
message
people,
through
yes.
Facebook and I said, is there any, who would I speak with locally about my daughter wanting to go on exchange? And he said, well, it's too late. And so I said to you, sorry, it's too late. And then he, out of nowhere, super lovely guy, he says, I think there might be an opportunity that's arisen. There was one short-term exchange that fell through. Oh, would you like me to are you still interested? Would you like me to connect you with our local club? And anyone who's not aware of what Rotary International is, check it out. They do amazing work all around the world. And they're a service club and they do so much philanthropy. And also, they have this really long history of having students go on exchange to other parts of the world, all over the world. So there was the only exchange that was left in all of Canada. In fact, the
Mm-hmm.
world had not even opened up. Canada had not even started their exchanges yet. We only had this opportunity because our local club is also part of the US. So the New York club was you're able to be your host. And they already had, remember, they sent over the package that night, and Mia and her family and all the information from their form, they sent it over because the entire thing was set. All you had to do was say yes and fill out a how many page form, how many page application.
I don't know. I think you did it.
No, you did it. You did it.
Did
I
I?
was away working. I was
Oh,
traveling for
yeah.
work. I was away
Yeah.
speaking. So you did the whole thing. You filled out the whole thing. And all I had to do was the parent um letter, which I did wrong.
No,
Remember?
yeah, I think I had to write like a 5,000 character thing about myself. I don't know. I don't really remember it. But anyways, um, yeah, so I end up getting connected with Mia's family, which is like like you always stay with a family who have like a child and then the kid stays with you. When I say child, we're the same age. So I was 16, she was 17, and they were Argentinian. So it was very spontaneous. Like usually these things are planned months in advance, but mine was planned like 1 month in advance. Like I was finishing my like school year. I had like exams and final projects and everything, and I was trying to like juggle like this second type like
Mhm.
responsibility or whatever. Um but it was worth it. And I hop on a plane and I go to Argentina, and I literally knew zero about the place, which really came in my benefit because also my expectations were in the ground and they were completely blown away.
Because
So,
you loved it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think there was like any other country in the world that would have like fit me better. Like I think Argentina, especially at that age and the experience that Mia and her family gave me was like the perfect country for me in the perfect like circumstances. Felt very fortunate to have been in that place because also I hear a lot of horror stories about exchanges, like it not going well and stuff. Even when I was there, like I know two people were having a lot of issues. But I mean, I was getting along with Mia so well, and her family was just amazing. Um,
But wonder if
and
some of
you,
those things not going well can also be really good teachers too. Because one of the whole points about going on a student exchange and traveling is learning what you're made of, what you're capable of, learning how to manage conflict, uncertainty, change. Um, so, I mean, not that you'd want to be with a family or have an exchange partner that wasn't awesome. And if you had that circumstance, you would learn from it. You would grow from it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But like, it really pushes you out of your comfort zone. Like, even just hopping on the plane pushes you out of your comfort zone, going to like a foreign country, international country. Um,
I think that's one of the
and
things
you,
that Dad freaked out about the most. Just you
yeah,
traveling on your own and having to switch planes and be at in international airports without anybody.
yeah. I think when I did my layover in Brazil, it was in the biggest airport in the whole country. It's
Yeah.
a big country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What do you think are the main reasons? Because you always say, and I tell people all the time too, that students should do an exchange. They should do travel. And there's different companies that you could do student exchange. And we always recommend people look into Rotary because it's a really long standing, really good quality, not there for profit. So it's volunteers who make all of this happen. So we're big fans of Rotary. But you know what, even beyond that, who to do exchange with, you're always telling people students should do exchange. What do you think are the biggest benefits, no matter who you are?
Well, I'll always just say like the perspective you gain because you really do like it. You're being put in someone else's shoes and
Mhm.
seeing circumstances, seeing situations from a completely different view. Like the first time I stepped in Argentina and I saw like just like I don't know, economy stuff and like money stuff and
Like
like their history.
as in a
It
different
was like, oh
economy.
wow,
Mhm.
eh?
You mean like a different economy, like different.
Sorry?
You mean a different economy? You're saying money stuff. An economy. You're saying it was the first time you thought about like an economy being. It's more like their economy is difficult, right? Like,
Yeah,
is that what you mean?
yeah, like inflation and stuff. I was like, what even is that? That was like the first time where I was like, oh, so that's a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, here I really don't have to worry about it, like being in Canada, lucky as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I never had to grow up like constantly watching the news like they would every morning, like worrying about the next thing they have to worry about. Um, but also another thing that you gain out of it is a lot of like friendships
Mm-hmm.
and like connections, like especially when you go on exchange, there's a lot of opportunities to meet people who are on exchange. Like when I was there, I went to like a Rotary camp like
Hmm.
where a bunch of people who were doing their exchange in Argentina all came together, and they're like partners who were on exchange in Argentina, like with their Argentinian partner, whatever. You know what I mean? Like the Argentinian and the international people
Hmm.
partner, they came to
Yeah.
this
A
camp,
student.
and
Hmm.
yeah, and so I met like so many people through that, and now I have like a house in like so many countries.
Because they would love to
Um,
have you over. They would love to have you there. Yeah.
yes, and we might also have a lot of visitors in the
Yeah.
future.
Well, we have, in
Uh,
fact, right? You met Valen,
oh yeah, Valen.
and then he ended up coming to stay with us. I mean, not only did Mia stay with us
Yeah,
because that's the exchange, but then you met Valen at the camp and you made friends with him, and then he came and stayed with us last summer. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That goes to show. It's a very good community because it's a like when you're in situations like that where everyone's just like starting from a base, like all they know is their partner,
Hmm.
and then they're like forced to meet other people. Everyone just kind of is like in the same boat and comes together and is like, "Oh, you're cool. Let's be
You
friends."
have to make an effort, or else you won't have anyone to talk with. And
Yeah,
and I really think that, you've mentioned many times that it helped you to come out of your shell, because
yeah,
most people were, if they knew you before this, if they didn't know you before all of the travel you've done, they would be surprised to know that you were very shy and that you have quite an introverted preference by nature.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That really pushes you to just like from all the socializing and like experiences. Like I literally had to stand up in front of crowds and talk about my life in Canada. I
Well,
would have never done that before.
you sent me a picture, Simone. I think it was the second day. You were at the front of the class. You had a guitar in your hand and you were singing to the class.
Okay,
I'm
not
like,
singing,
first
just
of all,
playing.
she learned a few songs during COVID through YouTube. So how did she find the confidence to pick up a guitar and start singing in front of a class when you don't speak Spanish? I'm like, who is this person? Was this photoshopped? I was so impressed. There you are, day two, so already outside of your comfort zone. What do you think that is? That how different that is from how you would have been. Would you have gone up in front of a classroom if somebody said, "Here's a guitar. You've never met these people in this school. Why don't you sit in front of the class and play guitar here in Canada?"
No thanks. Just like when you're abroad, just people are very interested in your life, especially somewhere like Argentina where they don't get a lot of tourism.
Hmm.
Um, so everyone's like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, what's this?" So they're interested. I literally was just like standing outside of the class because I think the music teacher was like playing the guitar to the class, and I was standing outside the class just like listening. And he's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, come in, play." I'm like, "Oh, um,
Oh. What did you play?
um,
What did you play? I'm
well,
curious.
Blackbird,
Uh,
obviously, my
uh,
go-to."
yeah, yeah. So, and then when you came back, dancing, Latin dancing, and doing all your Duolingo, speaking all kinds of Spanish with all of your friends, and just like this craving to experience all cultures and all places. Like you're like, I can't wait to the next place I go. I think as we were driving home from the airport. And you befriended the other exchange students who were at school with you that next semester. It's almost like you wanted to reach out to them and be their person, right? Do you remember that in grade 12, first semester of grade 12? You were just you were like capturing all of the lost toys, so to speak, any of the exchange students who hadn't quite found their person. And you're like, I want to make sure everybody feels like they belong and
Yeah, it's not always easy being like in a different country with people you don't know and speaking your like second language. Um, like especially speaking from experience. So it's always just good to let them know that they're like comforted and stuff.
In
Um,
fact, we even had Francesca over for Christmas. Do you remember that? That
yeah,
you and Dad and Francesca went to see Niagara Falls because you guys wanted to.
she's Italian also
Sorry, yeah,
for
important context, yeah. And so you guys decided to go to Niagara Falls, make sure she had seen Niagara Falls, especially in the wintertime. And then I think on the way home, Dad was, or maybe you were asking about what she's doing for Christmas, and she didn't have plans. And so immediately it was like, well, you're coming to us for Christmas. So then we got a
Mhm.
chance to share Christmas with Mia and Francesca, which was pretty fun. I think we went back to Niagara Falls that night, didn't we? Like Christmas night or um maybe it was
Yeah, probably.
Boxing
When
Day. Hmm.
whenever you're bored, just go to the falls.
And it was really cool to experience our own traditions through the eyes of people who had never experienced a Canadian Christmas.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Now you then, Francesca, had you to stay last summer in Italy. So you got to go and
Mm-hmm.
experience Italy and continent number two. And you had so much comfort. Dad and I were playing catch up about, whoa, okay, she's going away. We weren't expecting it that soon. That the very next summer you were going to crave going somewhere else. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be fine. We're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We still want to talk to the parents. We want to find out all the things. And you had developed such a confidence so quickly that you were just ready to go. All right, I guess we have to
Hmm.
make plans. Okay. It's a very cool thing. That's how confident.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it goes to show how like mm, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not monumental, like important connections can be when you're like abroad and stuff. Because even with Francesca coming here, like when we made a good connection, a good friendship, like that gave me the opportunity to go see her and visit her and like gain her perspective on the world and stuff. And it's just like a very, very important factor in life.
And that's
Yes.
why we keep saying to people, like have your kids experience other cultures. Let them make friendships, let them get outside their comfort zone. If they're shy, that's not a reason why they shouldn't do it. Maybe that's the perfect reason why they should do it. If you want them to feel a greater appreciation for what they have and how privileged they are, have them travel somewhere where they're not as privileged. And then they will appreciate what they have more so. If they have an affinity for languages, let them immerse themselves in a new language, whether it's the language they're learning or not. There are just so many benefits to it. And we're it's it's really incredibly fortunate. Like I really see your openness and your curiosity for people and to try new things. You'll never lose that. And it's a wonderful thing that everybody needs to have a really successful life. Do you see it
Yeah.
that way too?
Yes. Yes, indeed. I don't know, just yes, you just like elaborated on the stuff that I did. So yes, period.
Would you say I elaborated in an incredibly articulate and excellent way? Like how well did I
100%.
elaborate?
Yes, that was so good. That was literally poem. That was music to my ears.
Music to your ears. And
I
so
think this damn song.
As we wrap up our conversation, and hopefully people are feeling super excited about the idea of looking into exchanges, even if they're feeling stuck in a rut and they need to maybe do a work exchange, work somewhere else, like maybe your company allows you to work in another country, or maybe instead of, let's say, going down south on a beach holiday, maybe go somewhere and experience a culture in a really unique way. Or in the case of what I'm doing next week, go to in Canada, I'm going to an indigenous communities. I want to learn about my own country and step outside of my own privilege. So you can even learn about different cultures within your own community too. So, when we talk about your work visa that you're doing in Australia, um, will you share the kind of like the highlights of what you've been doing since May? Um, and how
Oh.
those two trips, your student exchange and then your next student exchange, and now you're doing a work exchange here. Tell us what your work exchange has. We're doing this interview recording in July, and you left in May. So tell us all the
Yeah.
things you have experienced.
Oh gosh, they are like, there's so much. Well, I did. Okay, so I came here in like the start of May. It's now like almost end of July, and I've been like traveling up until like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I did like the east coast of Australia. So first like Sydney, then Byron, Surfers Paradise, Brisbane, Noosa, Rainbow Beach, Gari,
So for people who've
Airlie
never been to
Beach.
Australia, those just sound like random words. We want to know what cool stuff you've done, Simonne. How have you experienced?
Well, in Cairns, that was the most fun place because I did skydiving, I did scuba diving, I did snorkeling. I've been snorkeling lots of times.
Hmm.
Lots of reefs have been seen.
Yes.
Um, what else did I do? Whitewater rafting. I did a cool like what was the other cool thing in Cairns? Oh, I did like a rainforest tour, like a 2 day thing in Cape Tribulation and Rainforest or whatever. Um, in the Whit Sundays, I did a cool island tour because like the Whit Sundays are like a bunch of islands um on the reef. So I did like a 3 day, 2 night thing on a sailboat, and I met some great people. Um, yeah,
You
or
did a plane.
even,
You saw the reef, Great Barrier Reef from the
oh
plane.
yeah, yeah, I did a scenic flight. I went over the water. That was really cool. And just like meeting people in general, that's definitely been like a highlight. Like it's just like you meet such amazing people with such amazing like wisdom and like knowledge in the world, and you just see everything in such a different view. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have like country offs. It's like, well,
Oh,
in my country, well, in my country.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, or even
You ever
word
win?
offs.
Do we ever win? Does the Canada?
No, I hold back. I don't be too aggressive because you know I'm nice and everything. Um,
Yeah. You're being Canadian.
yeah, yeah.
You're a peacekeeper.
Um, yeah. We even have word offs where it's like, no, you pronounce it this way. No, it's aluminium, not
Yeah.
aluminum.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, it's been
what
good.
when I mention where you are, and then people want to know where, they'll say, "Oh my God, this is exactly the time to do it. This is so cool that she's doing it."
Mm,
And I'll say, yes, this is the time when not only do you want to, you're not encumbered by some of the obligations and finances.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, everyone tells me like so I came here when I was 18. I turned 19 here, and whenever I told people that I was 18, they almost had a heart attack. They're like, "Oh my God." And then they rave about how brave I am. And then they still do it like when I tell them I'm 19, there's just a little less of hype. But I'm like, guys, I'm still cool. Like, it's a 1 year difference. Um, no, but it's true. It's a very, very good age to do it because as you get older and you settle down in your home country, you have to pay for rent. Maybe you're starting a family or maybe starting a big corporate job and it's hard to leave. While here, I'm literally just in between school semesters. I'm here during my summer holidays, and my biggest responsibility right now is my daily Duolingo. Um,
And
and
finding a job. You've been looking
I'm
for a job
finding
for
jobs.
months. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I I have a couple options though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a also you really get like a kickstart in adulthood
Mhm.
because I feel like I've learned a lot of valuable things at an that at like that most people would learn in years from now. Like saving money, like my perspective on money has just completely flipped here because it's the first time where I have to pay for every single thing. I have to pay for my hospitality, my hostel rooms, my dinner, my trips, my flights, my tour groups, absolutely everything. And back home, like if I was grocery shopping, I'd just be like grocery shopping for like a snack or something. Or
Or you'd say, Mom, can
I
you
don't
ask
know. You really
grocery?
have to take, yes, even when you're grocery shopping here, you have to take everything into consideration. Do I have the oil? Do I have the spices? Like, is a pan available? Like back home, you would just get like your broccoli, your chicken, or whatever, and you're good because you know the oil and the salt is back home. But what if you get all the way back to the hostel and you see you're gonna have a very sticky pan because you have no oil? That's some perspective you'll gain.
And
Um,
and what surprises some people when they ask me how it's going, and I'll say, Simone's working real hard to find a job, but they're like, oh, well, didn't she go there with one? And I'll say, no, she's been looking for one there. And they're like, wow, that's brave. That's because most of us, again, what by the time you kind of hit into your mid career, midlife, it's like there's these rigid views about the way world has to be. You have to have a
yeah,
job. You can't leave a job before you have a job. You have to always be, saving for whatever that thing is. You need to have a baby and then have another baby. Like we have certain, and then it kind of makes you think, when did we come up with those rules? Like when did
yeah.
where was the switch that all of a sudden not allowed to do certain things? And I know I totally fell into that. I don't know when it happened that I told myself I had to be so grown up. I wasn't allowed to go on any trips, or, I had to just like I had a mortgage at 22 years old. I finished
Oh
grad
my God.
school at 23 years old. I was married at 22. Like, talk about responsibilities. And, you've lived in three continents. You have you have built so many international friendships. You speak three languages. You now will successfully know how to stock groceries in a grocery store because you have had to make money for hostels. I don't know how to stock cans in the perfect way in another hemisphere. Yeah. But it's just like imagine how much more balanced your perspective. Like if at 40 years old, let's say you're working in a job and on all of a sudden you're downsized, probably I'm guessing you'll be like, well, I mean, hey, our economy didn't collapse, so that's good. Or well, just get another job, or maybe it's time to retrain. Like, I suspect you'll just have a whole other baseline of being okay about different things.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. It's definitely made me a lot more like chill. Like even before I left, I was like, okay, we're going out tonight. Who's gonna be there? What time we going? What time do I have to do my makeup? How are we getting there? Like, but now, like even with the job, before I came, I was talking to like people that I like travel agent people, and I was like, okay, but like where do I work? But like when? Like who? Like I need a job. I'm not going if I don't have a job. But then I was just like accepted the fact that it's a very safe country and there's many opportunities and many people come here for the opportunities there are. Um, and I was like, I'll be okay.
Hmm.
I will just let it fold out and it'll fold out as it needs to. And indeed it has.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's when like the best, most spontaneous things happen when you don't have any plans and you just jump into something because you'll like meet someone who'll be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this extremely cool thing. Want to come? And you'll be like, oh, thank God I didn't make any plans. Hell yeah,
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what?
Mm.
Occasionally, Dad will say to me, like, "Oh, I hope she has enough money. We should send her some money." And I'll say, "She's okay. If she needs money, she knows how to reach us, but she is resourceful. She's got this." And honestly, I'll tell you, as the mom, I'm like, part of the journey is the brokenness. Part of the journey is the how do I make my dollars really stretch? How do I value my experiences so much because you chose to do all that travel, which, the skydiving and all of those things, you decided to invest in those experiences. And that was a choice. And I said to Dad, like, let's not take away the joy of you having done that for yourself by by putting just slipping money into the bank account, that you fully own that entire experience because you planned the trip. When you got there, you picked this cool 6 week experience. You found your bestie friend that you went with. You bankrolled the whole thing. There is literally not one part of that that you don't own. You own every piece of it.
And every piece of that,
Every piece of it. And I think that
every
that's
single
part of
last
the
piece.
benefit of traveling too, is the people around the person doing the traveling also have to grow up. We had to learn how to adult an adult much earlier, and that was good for us because we have to let you go and thrive. Same with Justin. We have to let you guys go, be who you are, make mistakes, have successes, find out who you are, who do you like, what matters to you, knowing that you have a safe place to land if you ever need us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good knowing I have support behind me whenever I need it and that there's no way I'll just go broke and homeless.
Yeah. And isn't it good that you also know, most importantly, that you've got yourself, that you'll not go broke and homeless because you're way too resourceful and smart and have a great personality and a wonderful way of being able to make friends and connections easily. You'll never go broken homeless because of who you are.
Yeah. No, that's true. Amen to that.
Amen.
Appreciate it so much.
All right, Simone. I'm so glad we were able to chat about your exchange. We've been planning this since before you went to do a podcast
Yeah.
episode on this.
Wow. Been
Wow, you're
waiting
really,
for the right
really
second.
enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. They're big yawn. Yeah, yeah. All right, Simone. I am still counting down the days though until you come home. To be very clear, I have an app that counts it down. So I'm thrilled for you, but you need to get the hell home next month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll try.
Hmm.
I'll try my best.
I love you, babe.
Love you so, so much.
So much. Okay. Bye, babe.
Mwah.
Mwah. Mwah. Thanks so much for joining us for the Greatness Together podcast. Never miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you catch your podcasts. Yours in greatness, Simonne and Sarah.